All right. To start with, hello everyone. Welcome to the Layer 5 Newcomers meeting. This meeting takes place every Thursday by this time. And what we do here, we talk on getting you started. We answer to your questions. We refer you to documents that you would need. And also, we hear your suggestions too. So it's not just me talking. We'll be doing an interactive section. And please do well to write your name in the attendance list if you haven't done that already. Yeah, so to start with, we're going to do a hot potato where I'll introduce myself and every other person who is new in the community, or if you're not new to the community and you want to introduce yourself, we all want to hear you. So to begin, my name is Anita Ehiman, and I've been contributing to Layer 5 since last year, and it's been an amazing community so far. So I'd pass the mic on to Aisha. So once you're done introducing yourself and then telling us a little bit of why you were here and then what your specialty is, you can just pass it to the next person, and just so it goes round.
Okay, hello everyone, Aisha here. So I'm from Pakistan and I'm a software engineer by profession, and I've done a lot of things during my career, like from development, and recently I've been to DevOps. That includes mainly around Kubernetes and all. My development work is mostly around Node.js and Python. I'm here because I always wanted to contribute in open source. I have been part of an open source community as well, and this is going to be my second one. And what excites me is actually the things that are being worked on here, and that includes coding and Kubernetes, service mesh, Istio, and all of these things really excites me. So yeah, I'm happy to be a new member of this community. Looking forward to working with all the great people here.
You're welcome. So who are you going to pass it to?
Okay, I would pass it to Gaurav Kumar.
I think you have to call him again. I don't think he heard you.
Oh, okay, Gaurav. I can pick someone else, perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
I'll pick Gautam Arora this time. Yeah, I can.
Hello everyone, I'm Gautam this side. So I have been to yesterday's meeting, and that was my first meeting, and I got to know what's mesh and what's layer 5 community. So right now I'm an open source contributor, and I've been into another communities, mainly Zulip and Material UI, and contributing over there. So that was a good journey over there. And right now I'm over here, so because I could dive much deeper into DevOps, because I'm a complete beginner into DevOps, and that is what I aim to learn in next few months. So uh, I've been to layer 5, and I've got my first issue, and I'll be working on that issue. So yeah, looking forward to help you guys and learn something from you guys. Thank you.
We're happy to have you here. You're welcome. So you can pass it to the next person.
Yeah, I would go ahead with Tushar. Tushar.
Hello everyone, I am Tushar Upadhyay. I am a BTech student from India, and basically till now I have done some development with Stack and Django, and I have also contributed to some other open source projects. I have recently started working on DevOps, and the idea of service mesh really excited me. So so here I am in Layer 5, and I am looking to learn more and contribute to this wonderful community. I've recently been assigned an issue also, so I hope I can start contributing. So that's all.
Well, that's great. You're welcome. All right, you can
Thanks,
pass it
thanks.
to the next person.
Yes, I would pass it to Hari Darshan.
Okay, hi everybody. I was just editing my name there. I'm Haidarshan Chaudhary, a student from India. I'm currently pursuing BTech and I'm in the second year of my college. I've been doing I'm interested in development stuff. So I've been doing freelance development and all the stuff along with my friends and mates. But I always felt that I was quite limited with it because it was a lot of times I was getting the same development projects, or if I wanted to make my own side project, I would just end up not pursuing it further. So to have a precise goal or a precise roadmap, I wanted to get involved with some community so that I can grow that together. Because the communities have mentors and they would just help me to get the right track. So I'm exploring with communities. I just found out Layer5 community, and I've attended one meeting on Monday, which was on the website, and I really find it uh, very good. The community is very energetic or very welcoming, I may say, and I'm looking forward to contributing to the community and learning more things.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. I'm so happy that you're in our community. Hope to see more of your contributions. You can pass it on to the next person, please.
I'd pass it to Adina Rao.
Hey, I'm not for the first time. I joined Mesh3 and Layer5 because of the white tools that they are using and automating around, and yeah, to actually learn and improve my service mesh skills and DevOps skills. I'm working as a DevOps engineer on the DevOps side, on the developers side. So CI automations, but also some upgrades on the Golang skills. But yeah, most of it is for learning and variety and people. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Adina. You can pass it on to the next person, please.
Is there someone who didn't speak? Tushar?
Is there anyone who hasn't introduced himself?
I'm Gaurav. I got disconnected at that time. Sorry. So,
Okay.
okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Gaurav, and my current, I'm from India basically, and I'm pursuing my bachelor's in electronics engineering. And for past 2 years, I have been doing machine learning and deep learning and all. But I wanted to start some new tech stack recently, and was going through various things, and I found that service communication and all is a bit interesting, and I'm very unaware of it. So that's why I'm starting to do that. And for open source contributions, I have contributed to DBpedia and a few other organizations of CA Microscope and all. And I've worked with machine learning and backend basically as of for now. So I'll learn Kubernetes and other things so that I can contribute as well. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the introduction. Is there anyone that hasn't said something? A brief introduction is fine. Okay. I take it that that was the last person who hasn't made an introduction. And I guess the other ones have been members of the community. So, like I said earlier, this is the newcomers call, and it takes place every Thursday this time, and we talk about different things, issues that haven't been handled or settled, having difficulties with issues. We direct you to the right resources that you need to get started with, and also we refer you to someone who would best be meshmate if you need one. Yes, so welcome to Layer 5 Newcomers call. Yeah, and if you haven't gone through the docs, if you haven't filled your name in the community member form, please do well to do that, and the link is right here. If you haven't filled your name, but I believe everyone has. This call is not restricted only to newcomers, so even if you've been in the community for years, you can always come here. And yeah, in the Layer 5 community, we assign meshmates. I'm sure you must have heard of a meshmate while filling the membership form. Well, a meshmate is a member of the community that is delegated as a guardian angel to help you through your process in the community. So if you don't have one and you feel like you need a meshmate or someone to put you through, yeah, you can always request for a meshmate. I'm sure there's a provision for that in the membership form, but you can always request for a meshmate in the general channel on Slack, and someone will be assigned to you immediately. And let's look at an overview of the website. The Layer 5 website runs on GQ, and it has various projects. You can look at the website here. I think I'll open that. Let me take this out. Yeah, this is the Mesh website and runs on GQ. You can go through it at your own time to look over. We have the doc, the Mesh.io docs. Like, you can also look through that at your own time. The Service Mesh Performance website, and then the Get Nighthawk, which just started. You can look at the project description in this documentation, and you can always hop on it. We need lots of contributors. I'm sorry. We need all your efforts and contributions in this project to make it work. So if you're looking for where to put all your focus and energy at, the Get Nighthawk is a good place to start with. Okay. And the Layer5.io website runs on Gatsby. Let me click on that, but you can always look over it like properly at your own time. I hope you can still see my screen. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, it came up. It was actually black when you asked, but it's there now.
Okay, because my network can be shaky sometimes because I have to keep on. Yes, so you can check this out at your own time and look over the project and then what we've done so far, and then look for where you can also add your own improvements, which is always welcome. I mentioned earlier, you can get a meshmate by requesting in the general channel or by filling the community member form. So in this call, we usually have hands-on tutorials on the different technologies that the newcomers are having issues to get on. But right now, we do not have anything to drop a tutorial on. And if you think you have not seen a detailed tutorial and you would want to help give a hands-on guide, we would gladly welcome your contributions, because the newcomers coming to the call would appreciate it once they see it. But you can always click here to check on the available ones. Yeah, check here and you see the available tutorials that have already been made. So This call, like I said, happens every Thursday, same time. So if you have a suggestion or you have an issue that you're facing and you don't know how to tackle it, you can always bring it up here. And if you have a suggestion that you would want to make, we always accept suggestions from anyone and everyone. So your suggestions are welcome to the community. So there's a project overview. Just so if you haven't gone over our projects, you should do that. We have really fantastic ones. And we have the front end projects that are listed out here and the back end projects that are listed out here. So if you haven't gone over this, I'd advise you to, because they're really, really cool projects that you want to get involved in. Here's a questionnaire down here. So you can go over this questionnaire and drop which area you feel that you're best skilled in and which area you feel that you can support us with, and we'll see how we can attend to you by the time you've done that. So whether you're good with Golang or you just HTML, basic HTML, and then JQ, we always accept contributors, and that's if you're good with React, front end needs your help as well. And if you're good with DevOps and all, please drop your names right here, and we would look through it. And if you feel, like I said earlier, if you feel you have a tutorial that you would want to teach members of the community, please, I am also ready and willing to learn from you. So you can always make your suggestions and we'll take that. And over here we have the calendar. So if you have not subscribed to our calendar, please do so, so you can always be updated on our weekly meetings and meetups. And you can join our Slack channel here to also keep track of the community affairs. And here is our GitHub repository. If you've not gone through that, you can also locate it and find issues that you can take on. This call is recorded, and every of our calls are recorded. So even if you miss it today, you can always come back to it on the YouTube channel, and you'll catch up on every detail that you've missed. Yeah, the community drive, I don't think this is accessible unless you fill in the community member form. So by the time you fill in the community member form, you should be able to access the community drive. Here is the first timers guide. If you haven't, I think I must have dropped this in the Slack, but if you've not seen it, here's a welcome newcomers guide that you would want to go over. And there are issues that are listed out in the community, good first issues. If you have not taken an issue in this community before, sorry, my network is shaky. Please tell me you can hear me and I'll continue.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Just
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, so there are good first issues available. If you've not taken on anyone, they are readily available on this link right above here. So you can check out the issues as that are available, and I'll drop another link in the Slack much later for available issues on the mystery.ai website. And check us on Twitter and LinkedIn if you'd want to follow up on our social media accounts also. And that is just about the newcomers call. If there's anything I missed, please point me out to it. Yes, I wanted to clear, if you have been referring to the Mercury documentation, I'd like to clear that this documentation is for the users. But then if you're a contributor, you can go through the contributors guide. So you don't mix up the documents that are available. You can always go through the contributors guide as a contributor. But this particular documentation is mainly for the users, but a user is also a contributor. So you're also welcome, just to clear that. I believe that's all. If there's anything I missed, can someone please point me out to it? If you have a suggestion, you can also drop that. Yeah, I'd like to address another thing. I just want to ask a question. The community has a DCO check once you're making a pull request, and I observed that a lot of persons making their first contributions always encounter that problem. I did too. So if you're one of the persons that have issues with the DCO check, just indicate by saying hello. Okay.
DC what?
As
DCO?
this, yeah, a sign off. Sorry, the sign off. If you always have issues signing off your comments, just say hello, please.
Yeah, bad joke on my part, Anita, but I'll just reinforce what Anita was saying is that there's a small process of, well, of signing off on your Git commit, and it's part of the Git. Well, if you could use the word protocol, I guess part of what Git is itself, and this particular process that's not unfamiliar to many other open source projects. Different open source projects have different legal requirements. And the projects here have the requirement of, or we follow this developer certificate of origin, this legal process for protecting you as a contributor and for protecting the project as a project. That sounds kind of weird because it's or I would think that would sound kind of weird because it's usually you're trying to protect one entity versus the next, although that's not always the case. And it's not the case here. It's that, well, here's an example. So I'm just to help explain DCO and why we follow it, why, even though it can be a pain in the butt, we try to stick to it. There's a few reasons. One is we're donating Meshry to the CNCF. As a matter of fact, it has 1 foot in, 1 foot out at the moment. It's pretty confusing, but I would just consider it a CNCF project essentially at this point. It is, in part, the CNCF encourages a developer certificate of origin, or the process of signing off on your commits. I would liken it to something I'm doing right now, which is authoring a book with O'Reilly. And part of signing up is to say that I won't be plagiarizing other works, that the works are my original works. And that's kind of the same, that's exactly the same thing as to what you're saying when you sign off on the DCO. That's one of the things you're saying. It's probably the most significant thing. And yeah, so that's a little bit of context. The nice thing about this process is you can deal with it once. You can set up an alias if you're typing out Git commands, you can just set up an alias to always have the -s flag to always sign off. The instructions for that, like Anita has said, are in the contributing.md, it's in most of the contributing instructions, just like Anita was saying about contributing instructions versus user instructions. Anita, if you were to browse back to the docs.meshry.io, like Anita was saying,
Yes.
I think in the best of ways, she was saying that users are contributors, and often contributors are users. That said, there's a sort of a different vantage point or different perspective from which documentation is written, depending upon which hat you're wearing at the time. If any of you are just downloading and installing and poking around Meshry, you're sort of in a user mode, and you might contribute though by providing feedback or by telling other people about it, or any of those activities. as a contributor, you end up looking at the source code of it, or it doesn't have to be about code. Like to Anita's point, it could be, there's a bunch of different ways to contribute, a lot. And as a matter of fact, I won't tell you them all because when you fill in your member form, some of those are outlined. Some of those are obvious, like with Anita here, who's been here quite some long time, who wears the community manager hat in the trying to think of a word other than community, but in the community, and her contributions are significant in that regard. So the time that she's spending here, there isn't a git commit associated with it, but there's like 10 or more of you that are on the call, or 13 or more, that wouldn't have much of a clue as to where to get going, how to get started, and what the projects are if she wasn't here volunteering her time, taking you through it. So on that, actually do me a favor for her, ask her a question, because it is incredibly boring and non-fulfilling to talk to yourself for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And she's doing it for you guys, and that's why she's here. And so, so think about that for a moment. If you're going to get any value out of the 30 minutes you've spent, and then potentially spend a year here, like I was talking about Meshbait Josh Patel has, when he said the same thing that Hardashian had said. First of all, I jumped all over it when Josh said that, because we had such a tough time wooing front-end focused contributors. And front-end is extraordinarily important, equally as important as the back end. And so Josh actually wrote a blog post about that with the help of another community manager, Ruth. So Josh's blog post about his experience, and the fact that I think that he said that is in the blog post on Layer5.io, which is in fact open to many of you. If you have a blog post to put up, there's a community section. So put your name out there. And on that topic, actually, I think Aditya Krishna is on the phone now. Yeah.
Hi, Lee. Yeah.
You want to tell folks about the blog kitchen?
Yeah. So hello everyone. So there's a specific channel related to blogs in our Slack. So what we basically do is we take topics from different talks as well as from other events regarding Messery or Layer5, and we basically create blogs about that. And also, if you are interested to write a blog in anything specific related to the organization or our projects, you're welcome to do so. And yeah, there's a content calendar which has all the details regarding the blogs. So if you can join Blog Kitchen, that's the channel name. I mean, yeah, that's the channel name. I guess you can get started with writing blogs for Layer5. Yeah. Over to you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you. Well, there was some other stuff I was going to talk about and say, but mostly just to add flavor to what Anita has already said. So nice. So actually, this is great. Like there's 20, 30 minutes left. It's an opportune time for each of you to be a little selfish. And by the way, I encourage you all to be selfishly altruistic in your time here. And by that, I mean, be vocal about some of your goals. They're easily accomplishable. Well, they're not easily accomplishable. There's a path to accomplishing them here. The easiness is, I would say, actually, like, well, we'll like there's people here committed to trying to making that as easy as possible. The easiness aspect is depends on what your goals are and where you're at in your journey. But the more successful all of you are, and the smarter that all of you are, the better. Like the better things that we do here. You'll find, hopefully, most of the time your suggestions are embraced and encouraged. And the only time that they're not like taken up on and acted upon immediately is mostly a bandwidth thing. there's a diverse set of technologies being used here. There is, some of you might be thinking like, well, I'm a Pythonista. I've been studying Python. I've been doing ML. Like that's my, data, machine learning and data science. Like that's it. Like, what does this have to do with? It's like, well, while you don't see that listed prominently, it's like, well, that's because we haven't amassed enough people to go do some things that we want to do. And the first place we want to do that in is really in Get Nighthawk. Is some very interesting ways of characterizing the performance and being very intelligent about the automating the configuration of a service mesh of distributed systems of microservices, and doing it intelligently using, well, Nighthawk as a technology. And that's going to take some machine learning, and Nighthawk is capable of facilitating that machine learning. We want to go through some optimization algorithms. So tell your data science friends, I guess is the thing. By the way, we're involved with a couple of universities. So New York University, NYU, NITK, and I always forget how to pronounce, there's like 2 NITKs, I think. I forget how to pronounce, it's KHA something, something, something. And there's a professor and a couple of bright students that have been involved there. So yeah, random thoughts from me. So take a moment, all of you, I encourage you to fill in your newcomer form, which, by the way, there's a fine contributor who's been here, Blossom, who's been working on the newcomer form that most of you probably filled in. It's a Google-based form. She has been converting that to a web-based form on Layer5.io. And it is 4/5, 3/4 of the way done. It's close. She could probably use some encouragement and feedback from any of you. So there's an open PR on this repo. If front end is your thing, that's a great place to lend a helping hand. You don't have to start from scratch either, because she's got 3/4 of it done. I'll put a link to the PR. So who wants to introduce? Who wants to turn on their webcam, by the way? It's nice to see people, even if your green screen doesn't really work very well. What's that, Gautam? That's great. Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'd love to hear from you. So Gautam, you introduced yesterday at the Meshri Dev meeting. It's nice to see you on webcam then as well. I think, if I recall, you've been or looking to do a bit of gophering. Am I recalling that correctly? Oh, there's Tushar. There he is. All right, this is your 15 minutes of internet fame. There, look, I'm wearing all green today. Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of funny because it's like a green theme around here anyway. Cool. So Gautam, of that first issue that you're doing, is it Golang oriented? I can't remember.
Yeah, so Lee, it's basically a React oriented issue where I'll be adding a component in the route called LearnNG. So I'll be adding a component basically which will show the courses count and the service mesh available count. So yeah, I have claimed that issue yesterday and I'll be working on that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Anita, did you end up talking about sort of the LearnNG, kind of the expansion of learning materials that we're trying to do? I don't know if it's kind of a newer thing, so I don't know how well described it has been here.
Yeah, so I think so. It's not been integrated right now into actual production. So it's basically a new component, right?
Yeah, might be a good thing to chat about a little bit, in part because in part because I think it would be good review. Well, Anita, if it doesn't immediately jump out to you as like, it's been called by a few different things. Let me talk about it a little bit, because
Okay.
if that's okay. So by the way, there's this content calendar that Aditya was referring to, which is just tracks some blog posts that like hopefully Dhruv might second time round might do. Dhruv. So there's a content calendar that tracks blog posts and other things that we're talking about. As a matter of fact, I think a tweet went out yesterday. It was suggested by Navendu and implemented by Ruth. Here, the fact that we've had just on the single repo over 200 contributors. There's about 250 overall for Meshery though. It's just not on the same repo. So to introduce this other project on Layer5 IO. So this is Gatsby based, React based. There's a learn section. It has books. By the way, I think Gautam is one of the individuals that asked a good question recently. Like it was something like, what the heck is a service mesh? Or something along those lines, which, I'm still asking myself. And so this is a free ebook. You have to give up, I think, your email address to Nginx, but this amazing book is worth it. It's a fairly short read and it's a great introduction to the space. Anyway, point is, we've got this learn section that has books. It has workshops, which are also free and self-paced. Go do them because they take you through how to use Meshery. And if you find bugs, you have to fix them. That's the price of a free workshop. And then there's also interactive labs, which also take you through Meshery and teach you a little bit about service meshes and might have bugs themselves, which again, if you ask for help on it, you'll be mandated to fix the bug, which will be awesome because you'll learn 5 things at once. The labs here are open source. The time in these terminals is free. There'll be a Kubernetes environment and things to play with. There may be defects in this, and if you find them, the GitHub repo is in the Layer5IO org that has all the contents of what this lab is, and it's really not that difficult. Or like you'll see when you see the. But we have more learning material than just these 3 things. We actually are able to create learning paths and like tutorials for people to walk through. And so part of the goal is to more or less have a set of learning paths kind of similar to what HashiCorp has for their products. And so you go in, look at, and you learn about service meshing, and it would be a site that's kind of like this. We wouldn't have it as a subdomain. So this is learn.hashicorp.com. We'd considered doing that, and we'd found that we don't need to. We're able to keep it in the same site. So this is where Gautam is starting to change things around. I don't know if, yeah, it is. So sort of an technically it's a published but unreferenced URL, learn-ng, NG just standing for next generation. Eventually that will just turn into learn, or, /learn. But these are the learning paths that are being set up. I haven't clicked here yet. Okay. So yeah, still in the works. But cool, that's what Gautam is getting his hands dirty on. So that's great. Cool. I'll go back on mute.
Okay, so Lee has been saying a lot, and it looks like no one wants to drop a suggestion or ask a question.
So I have one thing to ask. So I haven't
Thank God.
I haven't gone through the material yet, unfortunately. But I'll go through it, and maybe then I have some better questions. But for now, I was like you Anita, you showed that you have a lot of projects, a lot of front end projects and back end projects. So are these projects dependent somehow, or they're totally independent? We can just pick one and just get our hands dirty on it, or or I mean, maybe it's like I'm feeling a little overwhelmed because there's a lot of projects and a lot of cool stuff out there. So yeah. So any comment on that?
Yeah. I can't remember which thing you said first, so I don't know if it's the former or the latter, but it's a good answer, which is any of them can be focused on a la carte. That if you're seeing where they brush up against each other, that's very much intentional, and they do, and what each reinforces the next. Specifically around like Meshery, service mesh performance, and get Nighthawk. They're all they can all reach out and touch each other, but they are all each their own projects and do have different sets of maintainers. And they are advanced. I mean, they're confusing, and there's a lot of different things going on in different directions. So if you're feeling that, that's about how I feel each day. And I totally encourage everyone to start super small. And you don't have to grok what the heck's going on. You really don't. And the thing is that small success begets a bigger success and a bigger one and bigger. And eventually, just through osmosis, almost, you start to grok the full thing. And it's a beautiful moment when that happens. It's like having an epiphany. Therein lie a challenge. So is it Aisha or Ayesha?
It's Aisha. It's Aisha.
Aisha.
Yep.
Like you were saying, well, it's a bit of a challenge, but actually the silver lining there is that for some who are probably on the call and are saying some things that I've said in the past, which is, so like, what's Docker? And then this Kubernetes thing, and like microservices and distributed systems and cloud native, and like there's just like, hey, not being super comfortable with all of that is at the end of that. Right now, the way that the cloud native ecosystem is, the way that how you run modern infrastructure is that service meshes are kind of on the end of that. It's like you go through all these other things first. They're sort of the last stop on our current journey, if you will. So they're quite advanced. Most of the world is not there yet. Here's the silver lining is that if you're able to eventually dip a toe in and just sort of start there, you're leapfrogging quite a bit. That's not an opportunity people get all that often. So.
Yeah, right. Makes sense. Yeah. So and you think the best way to start would be to pick up a small issue and then just to get done with it and then.
It really is, because like part of the point of the issue is, well, it feels good to put a check box. Well, to me, like to put a check mark on something like, hey, one, you got something done. Two, you made a mark on the projects. Inevitably, even if the like, Anita can tell you, because she was just telling us she deals with this quite a bit. Like, even if it's just fixing a typo, the process of forking, cloning, resyncing your fork, signing off on your commit, interacting with people through asynchronous communication on GitHub and then in Slack, and then how do you reference your issue number in your PR so that when your PR emerges, it auto closes your issue. And like, there's all these sort of the machinery and mechanics of just contribution in that regard in general is like, that's something unto its own, just to do that and be fully fluent with that. And then from there, so like even a grammatical thing is like, that can often be the starting point for folks. But yeah, the other, actually, this would be my general counsel, whether we were talking about layer 5 stuff or starting your new role at some other place, is that, that two things can be done in parallel. Certainly spend some time sort of trying to grok the larger vision and the bigger overview and what the heck the purpose of these various things are. And, but at the same time, don't spend all of your, don't sit in theory, start on the practical side at the same time. And almost the smaller, the better. Just like I hesitate to describe it to people as baby steps because I think that that bears a negative connotation when I say the word baby. But how do you think I'm doing what I'm doing? Which is just like my steps are still pretty small. I just keep doing them sequentially. And so yeah, yes, the long answer to yeah, like just start and start small. And as you go, the part of the point is that you have trouble and then you ask questions. And for me, it's when I'm having trouble and I'm want to punch my monitor that then I learned something. And because it was painful enough to remember. Just ask my wife. She'll tell you how many times it takes, how much pain it takes for me to learn something. So.
Right. Thanks, Lee.
Yeah. So by the way, there's a popular question about internships like LFX, because that's going on right now. And we just selected a couple of GSOC interns, and broadly we participate in internships because for my part, I believe in, well, the power of the passion of a lesser experienced individual, their desire to show off, to prove themselves. And so that's in part why we participate in internships. For anyone who's significantly impactful here, a lot of times they get a job offer. And so Layer5 employees, all of them are people who have contributed in the projects first. So a popular question is, what does it take to land one of those suckers? Like, how do I get an internship? And whether that's direct with Layer5 or if that's with sponsored by the CNCF or by Google. We did a Google season of docs as well. The answer is, I can't tell you how many times a day I get asked this, in part because Meshri is the most popular project on the LFX program. I don't know if anyone has noticed that, but I won't be shy in pointing it out. And that's got something to do with like Anita being here, as a matter of fact. Like, it's got something to do with, oh, look at that, with the community, right? And so I'm not going to be able to find the page that actually lists it as #1 probably, but to answer the question is, I highly recommend reading through these FAQs and contemplating them, internalizing them. They more or less say something like, hey, you're not going to get an LFX internship now because that's starting now. And the reason that I say it like that is that much like many of you will find, if you already haven't, if Deepika is still on, she could probably tell you that, you know, if you were to get a promotion in your full-time role, like when you're, 10 years into your career, or however far along that is, it's not much the same as to how you would get awarded an internship here. Internships aren't awarded for us anyway, the way that it works here. And there are many other communities to go to, and maybe it's easier to get the internship, and you should go if that's, if that makes sense for you. Otherwise, you should stay and grind it out, show some perseverance, build your grit, and be awarded an internship for as an acknowledgement of what you are already doing, not in the hopes that you will go and do something meaningful and worthy of an internship. That's not how it works. It's like, jump in, see if you're interested in the projects, see if you like the other folks around here, see if you can be impactful, learn something, suggest something, bite off a small piece of something, own it, make decisions on it. There's a bunch of maintainer roles that are open and needing to be filled. And we take the internships really seriously. We have more interns than we have employees. And because of that, we put people on world stages. Last KubeCon, so Dhruv is on the call. Dhruv and I spoke at a KubeCon 2 KubeCons ago. I've spoken with interns on DockerCon stage in front of 70,000 virtual attendees, and that's very much so intentional. The interns don't need to be on stage, but their names are absolutely there to recognize what they've done, and they worked hard for it. And so for those of you, I'll be frank, because it's been like a year and almost a half of focusing on just this, without really trying to commercialize anything that Layer5 does. It's focusing on just trying to help build people and build community and paying it forward, is that there are any number of people who come looking for a quick win, a badge on their GitHub profile or on their resume, and you might sneak one away without doing much here, maybe, but you won't have my respect, and you probably won't, and you won't really know your stuff. What I'm saying is roll up your sleeves. If you're being significantly impactful, it's the internships, there's more of them than we can give away. Like, guaranteed you will get one. It's there for your taking. Force us to give it to you. Aditya is working toward that right now. Every time I mention something, he volunteers to do it. Before I mention something, he suggests to do something. If he keeps doing it, he'll twist my arm, and I won't really have a choice. I'll feel obligated to make sure that that his stars are changed, that he's having a different career path than he otherwise would have. So. Yeah. Anita, you're doing a real service. Thank you for this.
Yeah, so today we had a massive turn up, and I am really, really grateful for every person that came here. I hope you learned a lot, and we hope to see more contributions from you in the community. You can check the website and then stay tuned to the Slack channel for more updates. If you have questions, please drop in the Slack channel, and you can always tag me. I'll be willing to answer any of the materials. Aditya is always available, like Lee mentioned. So you can always tag any one of them, and we'll be at your service. We hope to see more of your contributions, and thank you for making it to this meeting today.
Also, if you have any doubts setting up the projects, you can ping me up.
I didn't get that, please.
No, if anyone has doubts or issues regarding setting up the repositories or the projects, you can pick me up. I will have a chat with you and then arrive at a solution there.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Well, it's time up, and we call this an end. See us next week, same time, same day. Thursdays every Thursday. So hope to see you next week, Thursday. Thank you so much for coming. And I think that's the end of the meeting.
Nice. Bye all. Thank you, Nita. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.